Okay, so to graph polynomial functions, you are going to plug stuff in and you're going to get outputs, okay? If you are graphing the first one here that says negative x cubed, okay, plus x squared plus 3x minus 3, okay? In order to graph this, you have to plug in numbers, that's all we're doing. You need to plug in positive numbers and negative numbers. If I were you, I would plug in like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Here's the deal. I know some things about this because that chart you have tells me in behaviors and things what power, this is an odd power, correct?
Yeah.
So what type of graph am I going to get?
Negative.
Minimum positive.
Well, no. I mean, is it going to be shaped like an N, or is it a W or an M? What type of graph? Okay, so it's either the N or the backwards N, because it is an odd power. That negative also tells me something. What does it tell me?
It's facing down.
Okay, it tells me, it tells me that when it's negative and it's odd, okay, when it's negative and it's odd, that it's backwards. It's not like a regular N, it's backwards from that. Okay, so if my graph, when I plug numbers in, doesn't start to come out to that shape, I've done something wrong. What?
Is that chart that you're referring to the one looking after the quiz?
Yes, if you copy it by hand.
You wanna copy it by hand and put it in a copier and get one?
No.
No, because I would just take yours and throw it away.
Then I'll highlight it.
No. Okay,
Outline.
so if I'm you, I would make a chart. Well, this is what you have to do. You have to make a chart. And you have to say -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Plug those numbers in. When I plug -3 into that equation, what do you get out? Now, question for you. Is it easier to plug in -3 cubed times -1 plus -3 squared plus 3 times 3? Or times, or can I use synthetic division?
Synthetic.
Or synthetic
They
substitution?
doing too much.
So if I do that, right, I have this,
Synthetic.
-1, I have 1, I have 3, and I have -3. I'm plugging in a -3. So -1 times -3 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 times -3 is -12. And -12 and +3 gives me -9. -9 times -3 is
Positive
27, and then 27 minus 3 is 24. So my output is 24 in that case, yes? Okay, so I get 24 here. And do you see how I'm just gonna do this for all the numbers?
You know how much more convenient this would have been if we knew about this way before?
So then I can just change this to -2.
Right, we don't know what the number ever is.
Okay, -2. And you're gonna get 2, 3, -6. -6 and 3 is -3. -3, -2 is 6. And 6 and -3 is -3. Highlighted, it's +3. Okay, +3. But do you see how this is quicker? Or when I'm plugging all this stuff in? And then I'm gonna do -1, right? So 1, 2, -2, 1, -1, -4. Okay? And then when you do 0, what do you get? No,
Zero.
you get
Negative
-3. That one you don't even have to show work on, that's easy. If you do 1, it's not just 3. If you do 1, because this isn't a quadratic, it's not reflecting.
Why is 0 -3?
Because look, if I plug 0 into all the x's are 0, 0, 0,
Oh.
-3. Is that 3? Is what? It's +3. So then, -1, 0, 0, 3, 3, and you get 0. And then you're gonna do 2, So then I get -2, I get -1, I get -2, I get 1, and I get 2, and I get -1. And then you do 3. Do you see how I said this isn't hard, it just takes time?
Bro, they doing too much.
Well, it's how you have to do it,
I want the street to stay.
because we don't have graphing calculators.
I do.
Let's get some.
Nope, you're not allowed to use them.
Why?
Mr. Rice said you need to know how to do this by
Oh,
hand
Mr.
before you
Rice.
can use a graphing
Oh, so
calculator
you're gonna teach it to us by hand and then we can use a calculator?
next year.
Oh, bro. Well,
So next year's gonna be easier.
Yes.
no, bro, we have Mr.
It
Rice.
is.
Next year is
Well, at
gonna
least we
be
don't have to do
ultimately hard.
this.
Still gonna
Okay.
be hard.
So,
It is gonna be
there
hard.
you go with that. Now, you can graph that, okay? Now you would just graph that on a graph, and if I graph, I'm just gonna make a rough sketch of this. If I graph this, I have -3, +24, so something way up here, right? I have -2, +3, something like down here. I have -1, -4, something down here. I have 0, -3. It should be like right there, but it's not reading it. I have 1, 0. I have 2, -1. And I have 3, -12. So my graph would look like this. Is that basically the N shape? Is the side going up that's supposed to be going up and the side falling that's supposed to be falling according to that chart?
Ow!
Yes. So that is what you're doing.
That's the other.
That is so much fun.
Yeah.
Let's do another one.
So that's what you're looking at. We're gonna discuss this next one, but we're not gonna graph it. I just wanna know, can you tell me on this one right here, what type of graph I'm going to get?
W.
Okay, why a W?
Positive exponent.
Because it's
I
a,
mean degree.
it's a even degree, even.
Oh, even. That's
Okay.
what I meant. Even.
And it is a positively coefficient, so it is a W. Okay. So that is how you know if you're doing something right or wrong. If you use that chart to start you off, you can like tell if you plug numbers in right. You can just plug the numbers in and get outputs, or you can use synthetic substitution, which might be quicker.
Wait, so we're allowed to actually just plug in the calculator?
Yes, but you're gonna have more room for error on that. You can, you just have to show me work. You have to show me that you plugged it into every spot.
More error for using a calculator.
You
No, it's
have to,
probably
because it
doing
doesn't have order
He ain't
operations.
dating.
So for every time, do we have to do -3 all the way up to 3? Like, do we plug
I
in
would
those?
suggest doing that, because here's the deal. If you know, you might have to do more numbers. You know that it's supposed to be like an N shape, so that means I need enough to make it curve twice. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the W one, you're gonna need to make it curve more than that, so you might have to put in like some more numbers on both sides, okay? So that was the end of that part. Like I said, that wasn't too bad. Now, let's look at 5.3. This is, 5.3 is super easy if you can add like terms. Okay, 5.3, adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay, we're gonna talk about adding vertically and horizontally. Okay, vertically means up and down, horizontally means across. Okay, so if it tells you to add something vertically, I have to rewrite it over top of it some. So it wants us to add 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 9 to x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11, vertically. So if I'm doing that vertically, I'm gonna say 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 9. I have to align the same things underneath. So x cubed plus 6x squared, there is nothing here, so plus 0 plus 11. Does that make sense what I am doing? Okay, and I'm adding everything together. What is 2x cubed plus x cubed? 3x cubed. What is negative 5x squared plus 6x squared? X squared. X squared. What is 3x plus 0? And what is negative 9 plus 11? You are adding polynomials
That was
vertically.
easy.
That's vertically.
Is that it?
Is this
What is
on
horizontal?
our quiz?
Can we
Yes.
just do it vertically
Are we
every
doing all
time? It
this
seems
today?
kinda easy.
Yes.
You know, mathematicians always find a way to make things
Okay.
harder.
Horizontally is
Oh, yeah?
this. Horizontally is probably what you're used to. So I look here at this, and I look for like terms. Do I have a cube over here?
Yes.
No.
Um,
So I have 3y cubed. Here I have a negative 2y squared, here I have a negative 4y squared. I add those together, what do you get? Negative 6y squared. Here I have a negative 7y, and here I have a positive 2y. What do I get when I add those together?
Negative 5y.
And then I only have negative 5 left. Boom.
That's crispy.
Can you erase the green like on that? Cause I can't tell what some of this says.
3y cubed
Okay.
minus 2y squared minus 7y. And then you add it to negative 4y squared plus 2y minus 5.
It's harder back there?
Unfortunately.
Why is it 3y squared? Shouldn't it be negative?
No, because there is no other y, there's,
Oh, I didn't, oh, I thought that was.
okay. So that's adding. Subtracting, we're doing the same thing. When you subtract vertically, you have to line them up. Okay, so subtracting vertically. 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus x plus 7. Subtracting from it, 8x cubed. Now, subtracting is where people run into a problem, because when you are subtracting,
Did I say 3x cubed?
yes, when you are subtracting, remember that you have to put this bottom portion in parentheses, because you've got to distribute that negative, that subtraction sign into each portion.
That's, yeah, that's
So, what is 3x cubed minus 8x cubed?
negative 5x cubed.
Yes, negative 5x cubed. What is negative 2x squared minus a negative x squared?
Positive
Squared.
2x squared?
No,
Why?
negative 2x squared
It says subtract.
minus a negative x squared.
Minus x squared.
It's minus x squared because I have a flip for the x squared and I have a negative 2 to start with, so I get a positive x squared, or
But
a
it
negative
says,
x
in
squared.
the problem, it says positive 2x squared.
Oh, well, I messed it up. Oh, well, we'll change it to negative. Okay, what about negative x minus negative 5x?
Negative, no, 4x. Yes.
4x, positive 4x.
Plus 6.
No, I'm drawing that.
And then 7 minus 1 plus 6.
What is blip supposed to mean?
That's what Mrs. McCain taught you when there's double negatives, flip, flip, and it turns it into a positive. I always called it a ding ding, but that's,
Ding ding.
that's what Mrs. Torrance taught me when I went to school here. Okay, now we're subtracting 5z squared minus z plus 3 from 4z squared plus 9z minus 12. Okay, so we're subtracting those. What is 5z squared minus 4z squared?
Z squared.
What is negative z minus 9z?
Negative.
What is 3 minus negative 12?
Negative.
No, 3 minus negative 12.
9.
3 minus negative 12. 15. Well, it is correct. Double negatives give me a positive. So you're adding and subtracting polynomials. Follow the directions if they say vertically or horizontally. Got it?
There's no reason to transition.
You have done that in the past. There's no reason you can't do that. Multiplying vertically and horizontally. You have multiplied horizontally all the time. It's like foiling. Okay? Multiplying vertically looks a little bit different. It's like old school. Remember when you were a kid and you multiplied like 112 times 42? Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Me neither.
I
With
forget how
that.
to do that.
Is it 2 times 2, 2 times 1?
Don't you have to, like,
Yeah, and then you put a placeholder,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't
Okay,
remember how to do that.
So we are going to talk about, yes, I know we don't remember, so we're gonna talk about how to multiply these vertically, okay? So you're going to say negative 2y squared plus 3y minus 6, and down here you have y minus 2, you're multiplying them like this. Okay? So we set it up old school.
This is about to suck.
6 is 12.
Okay, so yes, that's what you do. You say, negative 2 times negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 6 is
Whoa.
positive 12, right?
You're so funny, baby.
You say negative 2 times 3y,
Negative 6y.
negative 6y.
Oh, snap.
You
bro.
say negative 2 times negative 2y squared,
4y squared.
4y squared. Okay, now that's that portion, okay? When you are younger and you do this, you have 4, 2, 2, and you put a 0 as a placeholder. We still have to pretend that 0, we're gonna put that 0 there as a placeholder, okay? So you get a 0 right here, and then we can start. Y times negative 6,
Negative 12.
negative 6y. Y times 3y,
3y squared.
and y times negative 2y squared.
Negative 3y squared.
No,
Cube.
negative 2y cubed,
Oh.
okay? So now I can add all these together. 12 plus 0,
12.
negative 6y plus negative 6y.
0.
Negative 12y.
Negative 12.
Oh.
My square.
4y squared plus 3y squared.
7y
Oh my
squared.
Is it? Oh.
And negative 2y cubed is what I'm left with. That is multiplying in a vertical format.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad. You just have to remember what
Can
you did as a
skip one? I
child.
would just like-
So probably sure we're learning how to multiply.
Yeah. Do I need to show you how to multiply horizontally since it's
No.
foiling?
No.
Yes.
You boil it.
Yes, please.
Boil it.
Oh, give us an example.
Just so
Boil it.
like,
Boil it.
I need 4. What?
How do you boil?
No.
You wrap your foil around your turkey.
There's 3 of these.
It's easy, Mallory, it's easy, watch.
Shut up, Calvin.
X times 3x squared,
3x.
3x cubed.
What?
X times negative 2x,
Negative 2x squared.
What?
x times 4.
I can't believe it.
3 times 3x squared,
9x
You
squared.
opened up my head.
3 times negative 2x,
Negative 6x.
3 times 4. Combine like terms.
Oh,
3x cubed, there's no others.
there's,
There's no others.
Go ahead.
7x.
Negative 2x squared and 9x squared.
7x squared.
This low key faster.
4x and negative,
Oh, no, negative 2x.
negative 2x. And then,
There's no square on that, so that's.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to write squared.
Jump back in that fade. Look, only you get one up, cuz.
Okay, does that make sense?
Dang, bro, this about to go on 10, bro. He got it last week, and you still see that right up.
Okay,
You doing something right. Yeah, you doing something right.
okay.
Another one.
This you have to memorize, period, period. Mr. Ray says if you don't memorize this, it's your fault, you're being lazy.
Bruh.
We had that conversation.
Memorize that?
Yes, listen, let me tell you what this is, it's patterns, it's patterns. Sum and difference, there are special product patterns. If you have, remember the difference of squares? How we had like x squared minus 4 and it was x plus 2x minus 2? This is it backwards. They're giving you x plus 2, x minus 2, and you have to turn it into x squared minus 4. Okay? You should not have to do any work with these. You should not have to FOIL if you can recognize that. What?
If we write that down, like.
No, you're not using it. You have to have this memorized.
Yeah.
So the sum and difference is easy because we've already done that with difference of squares. You should be able to recognize that pattern, period. Square of a binomial, you have to memorize this pattern, okay? So if I have a plus b squared, okay, When I have a plus sign,
Please excuse this interruption. Stuart King,
I get
please go back to the cafeteria.
A squared.
Stuart King.
plus 2ab plus b squared. Let me tell you this with numbers instead, because I think it's easier with numbers. If I have y plus 3 squared, this first thing becomes whatever this first thing is squared. So when I square y, that's my answer there. So if it had a 2y, this answer would be 4y squared. I square the whole thing. Okay? The last number is whatever this number is squared. Okay?
Wait, which six one?
So it's backwards.
Let's talk about how you get 6y. You get 6y this way. You multiply the 3 and the y together, and then you multiply that answer by 2. That's it. For all of them. For anything. Even if it is a minus, it's the same thing. Watch. 3z squared is 9z to the 4th. I squared it. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 5 times 3z squared gives me negative 15z squared. Double it, you get negative 30z squared.
So it's backwards factoring.
Yes, it's backwards factoring.
It's not too hard.
It's not
Wait, what do you do to get the middle?
You multiply the 2 inside together, so negative 5 and 3z squared, you get negative 15z squared, and double it. Yep. Here's the deal. I'm gonna ask you to show it to me without foiling, so you have to know these
Foil on
patterns.
a separate piece of paper.
Okay? And the reason is because when we get into more complicated things, it's gonna be so much easier for you just to know this pattern than to try to foil. When we get into doing it with, imaginary numbers.
Oh,
I was just about to say that.
Okay? And then the cube, so that is a square of a binomial. Now you have a cube of a binomial.
That's dumb.
X plus 2 cubed. Here's the pattern for this. You cube the first thing. Okay, for the first spot.
Okay,
You cube the last number for the last spot.
okay.
Okay?
Calvin, move your big
Yes,
body.
here's how you get the middle.
And you do the number times the cube.
Look at this. This says you're taking 3 times a squared plus b, or times b. So you take the square of this, which is x squared, you times it by 2, so you get 2x squared, and you multiply it by 3 to get this number, always by 3. Yes, because look at this, it's a pattern. Cubed, squared, 1. None for b, 1 for b, 2 for b, 3 for b. It's counting down for the a factor and counting up for the b factor for the power. So, to get this middle one, or to get this one on the outside, you do 3 times a times b squared. B squared in this case is 2. What's 2 squared? 4 times x is 4x. 4x times 3 is 12x.
you should produce for the.
Say that again.
Okay. First number is the first thing cubed. Last number is the last thing cubed. This number is the first number squared times the second times 3. So x squared times 2 is 2x, 2x squared times 3, which is 6x squared. This number here is the second number squared times x, so 4x times 3.
Okay.
So you're always multiplying it by 3.
That looks like the top one look like,
I can't.
the quadratic function.
Okay, so they give us some examples here. Let's look at these two first.
3 squared.
8x minus 3 squared. I'm not answering that right now.
Wait.
8x minus 3 squared. How would I do 8x minus 3 squared?
8x squared. Y equals 8x squared.
What?
That is a
House, wait.
that is a difference, right?
Oh, no. Guess.
Look.
Dang, bro, he good.
It's the square binomial.
It is the square binomial with the minus sign in.
Yes.
Okay? So the first number,
Yeah, 8x squared.
so no, not 8x squared, you have to square the 8 too. 64 x squared.
Oh.
Oh, that's you.
You have to square the whole thing.
Would it be
64 x
minus
squared
9?
minus what?
9.
No.
Positive 9, plus 9.
48.
9 is at the end.
Minus what?
Negative 48.
Oh, we trying to get 3 values?
Minus 48x. How did you get 48x?
Negative 3
3 times 8
times
squared.
2.
Okay, so negative 3 times 8 is,
24.
times 2 is 48. Negative 48x. And then what goes here? Positive 9. You square negative 3. Okay, positive 9. That's all you had to do there.
What the heck is P? How'd you get the 48 again?
You do negative 3 times 8
Okay.
and then multiply it by 2.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Now,
P
what?
plus Q.
PQ plus 5 cubed.
Why did they have to do
And
that?
that's
I know, that's why we're doing some harder ones.
PQ,
I have a cousin named Q.
Yes, PQ cubed
and then plus, or,
Yeah,
Yeah, plus.
5 PQ cubed.
plus 5, not
10
5,
plus 10 P.
plus
You said what?
10 PQ
Squared.
squared.
Why is it?
Why is it 2?
Because, Brady has this right, because
Multiply.
the pattern is,
Oh, you multiply by 2?
oh no, it's not 2, it's not 5.
Dang it.
Wait a second, let me
Like
do
the
this.
snake.
It's multiplied by,
Over.
3, so it's
3.
Oh, 'cause it's
On the
that.
square, it's 2, on the cube, it's 3. Okay, so it's 15, okay, so it's 15. But listen, here's what you have to realize. You have to put the squared with the P and with the Q.
I'm
you
so
can't-
confused.
you mean
Where's
The cube?
This, no, remember we count down. It's Q, oh, this should say this. Cube, squared, then it should go down to 1, and then there should be,
Do you not multiply 5 times
Straight
PQ and multiply it by 10?
Where do you get the 15 from?
Because
you have to multiply it by 3. The rule says you have to multiply, you multiply 5 times P cubed, Q cubed, and then you multiply that answer by 3, because it's a cube.
Why would he be squared and not cubed?
Okay,
Because
because,
You was paying attention to quit talking. You
because
would
the
know.
order, we're gonna run out of time. Because the order is cubed, squared, 1, none. You're counting down. You're counting down here, you're counting up here with the powers. So cubed, squared, none, done. Okay,
You did?
so then what comes next?
Then you do
Yo,
the last one
Uh-huh.
times the mid, times the first one. No.
I do the last one and I square it, so what's 5
So
squared?
then that's 25.
That's 25. You
Times
multiply
3.
it by 3, which is,
I don't know.
yeah, you do, you know 75.
75.
And then you multiply that by P and Q, because now these exponents are 1.
I mean squared.
No, no.
No,
Q
they're saying go.
squared 1.
So
So
like
no,
you-
it's, wait, shut. So it's 5 squared times PQ times 3. So it's the last one
Yes,
squared
yes,
times
yes,
first one
yes,
times,
yes,
okay.
because you're
You
counting
may
up and
speak
you're counting down.
That's
And then
what
what's the last,
Okay.
what's the last thing then?
Okay then, Derek.
No,
Too bad it's squared.
it's 5 cubed is 125.
I give up. Yeah.
Derek is the
Okay.
smartest person in the room.
I would suggest having that out on your homework tonight so that you can see the patterns. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now,
Yeah.
Do you have scissors now?
because tomorrow we have review anyhow, so we'll